I have something very special to share with you. You may have seen a lot of stencils in the market. Well, we're going to show you not only stencils, but ways to use them. As a matter of fact, this is one of the projects that I'll be sharing with you. So please come play with us. Well, I hope you will be comfortable, have maybe something to drink on the side. We are going to explore the elegant doily and the mini gears stencils. So very different looks, probably a little bit more feminine and masculine perhaps, but that's what makes it really fun. And I just want to tell you, this is the very first of a brand new subscription called Stencils and Such. And every month, members will get 2 stencils, at least 2 stencils. Upon occasion, there will be more, but the fee will never raise. It's always $15. And every month, subscribers are going to get something free. Of course they are, because that's how we roll. Now, let's get started with Elegant Doily. This is by Hot Off the Press. And on the package, there is a project. Of course there is, because it's hot off the press. And I have it here, and it should be at my fingertips, but it isn't. So I will look for it, and oh, there it is. Okay, so here it is. And this is using a patterned paper in the back, which is rarely done because most stencils are just going onto cardstock. But, you know, we're always going to take it up a notch. And isn't that pretty? This is on Songbirds. And this is with, let me see, it is La Copper Penny. This is a stencil butter, and I'm going to be demonstrating that in just a moment. But our very first project is this, and Lene has done all of these. And I have to tell you, we're going to get in close because I want you to see that even closer. This is on white glitter cardstock, and I think it is just exquisite. Look at that. And speaking of exquisite, this is a new lace bouquets piece that we got from Australia just for you. So in order to do this, you're going to take the white glitter cardstock, and I've gone ahead and I've cut it. It is, let me see, 4.5 by 6.5. That way it's going to fit on our 5 by 6.5 inch cards. That's going to work nicely. And what Lene has used is 3 colors of inks, and Lene likes to use the sponge daubers. Now these fit on your finger, but what you'll need to do is to place this on a craft mat like so, and it's a good idea to kind of hold it in place. And so we're going to hold this down with 2 pieces of the low-tack tape. And then I'm going to put the stencil, and I'm going to look at what Lene did because I want to be just like Lene. And notice it's not in the middle, it's off to the side. And I think that is just really nice. Again, that was in the first one, it's all over. It's just really fitting beautifully on this 6 by 6 card. But in this case, she wanted to offset it. So that's a good thing to remember. And I'm just going to place it like so. Let's see, that's about what Lene did. And again, I'm going to tape it so that I won't move it around. Want to make sure it's centered top to bottom, and like so. So there, and that's really going to be something that you're going to want to do with all of your stencils, is to position them so they're not going to be moving on you. Now, on the sample, she has used the 3 colors. So there is a Prussian blue in the middle, then there is a teal kind of next round, and then at the outside there's khaki. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. Now I'm not going to do the whole thing, I'm just going to do a little bit. In fact, I think I'll probably just do the blue. So going to, oh, by the way, Lene cautioned that she found that this worked best for her, and because there are so many little holes in this stencil, you'll notice how different that is than the, let's see, let me show you this, than the gears, big openings on that, okay? So that's what she has said. So you're just going to dab it into the ink, and then just start pouncing as you go into the center of the stencil. You're just going to do that. And I thought it was really, really clever. I don't think I've ever seen anyone doing stenciling on glitter cardstock. So you can start thinking about the different colors, the different things you can do. Then you would wipe this off with a baby wipe and then go into the teal and then into the khaki. So let me lift this off and just show you what happened. There you go. Again, it's that very light color and it works really nicely. Okay, so that's the process. No need for me to do the whole thing because you've got that. And I'm going to take this and put that into a tub of water. You could scrub this off probably with a baby wipe nicely, but it's a good practice to get to always just put it in a tub of water, and I've got that sitting over to the side. That way when you get some other things on it, it's not going to dry. Now, the other thing that she did is this lace bouquet. And let me get out the package. Here's what they look like, and they look just like that. And what she did was she used the same colors that she did on the doily. And there we go. Aren't these pretty? They are just lovely. And I was very happy to find them at the trade show from Uniquely Creative. Now, what she did is she used a water brush. Now, this comes in a package of 3. You can use a paintbrush. It's just that this has water in the container. So you fill it with water, which I've already done, and then you squeeze to release the water. And then you just tap it into the ink. So I'm going to take the khaki, just so that it's a different one. And I'm going to just push that down on the craft mat. Then I'm going to squeeze a little bit of water onto it. And I'm going to just go like that. And what will happen, let's see, I'm on with the khaki, so I'm going into the leaves. And just like this. Can we get in closer? Mm-hmm. So just like that. And it's just that simple. How neato. Look at that. And I think what she did is beautiful. Now, when I first used them, I did it just directly with an ink pad, but I think this is really gives a very fun look. And you can see that she added some pearls. These are Hunky Dory's green pearls, the green diamond sparkles. She also has inked the edges of the glitter cardstock. So she did that. And Lene likes to use, let me get a baby wipe to get that off so I don't move things into it. So she uses a circular applicator. Looks like this. And she likes to use that to apply her inks to the edges. I prefer a blender brush, but you can use whatever you like. And of course, that's going to be, you're just going to go like this, tap it in, and then just bring it in. And you're going to get that edge. So again, nice to know that you can color the glitter cardstock so easily. Now, after she did that, wipe it off. Then, get it off my craft mat because I'm going to be using this. She did mat it, and she used the solid cardstock from the Songbird set. So that worked very nicely. And in fact, that was the one that was used on the sample that's on the package for the doily. And then these are dazzles, as you can tell. And these come from the We're Together in more colors. So this is a gold and friend right there. And so that takes care of this. Now you can do more on the inside. You could just use the stencil straight onto the inside and use the ink pads with a blender brush or with the daubers That's going to work beautifully. But isn't that lovely? Just a really very wonderful look. And it's fun that she's used some new things too. So let me scoot this over and we'll go to our next card. And here it is. There's a lot going on in this collection. Now, this is the same doily, so let me get it out of its water bath just so that I can show you. Okay, so it's wet, so I have some paper towels right here. And okay, wipe off my craft mat also. Okay, now as I said, this is on a 6x6 card, but you'll notice that this has a different look than the one I showed you first, than this one. Now again, this was directly onto pattern paper. This is onto pattern paper, but it's a slightly different one. So here's what she did. She used the Songbirds patterned cardstock, and she chose one that had an area that had a lot of blues. And she put her stencil, you can just kind of, you know, choose where you want it to be in that area. If you want it to be against the darker blue, the lighter blue, whatever, okay? So it's going to be the same idea, but this is going to be a different product. This is with Stencil Butters. And Stencil Butters are a product by the Craft Warehouse, and we think they're pretty special. So again, I'm going to put this down. Now I could have just cut this to size, but I wanted to show you the whole piece, and so that you can be thinking of it in terms of separate areas. Now, this is the stencil butter that she used. This is called Champagne Stardust Butter. Now the butter comes like this in a container, and I don't think this one has been used. So let me open this up. It'd be nice if I could find scissors, wouldn't it? Let's see. Okay. Okay, there we go. It has, okay. Now, can you see how that looks? It is, it's like a soft butter, and that's what the designer wanted. So this is from, as I said, the Craft Workshop, which is where the Gears stencil comes from. So they're really helping us out on this program. And I'm going to use a palette knife. A palette knife, I'm getting it out of its package. Can you hear that? Okay. So palette knife can be plastic, it can be metal, it can be lots of things. This one happens to be metal. And we're just going to spread this across the stencil. Again, I'm not going to do the whole thing, but I just want you to see what happens. So can you see how that's looking very buttery? In fact, this has been used. Okay. And isn't that pretty? So this is their Stardust, which means it's going to have some shimmer to it. And you do want to fill the holes. So you're going to want this to be smooth after you spread some. So you're spreading it, you know, kind of like you would butter. Just like that. And then you're going to hear it. Let me get close. Do you hear that scraping? That's so that it's getting into the holes. And you can just keep filling it. Okay, and you do want it to scrape because you don't, there's no reason to have more. You just want to have those holes filled. So I had just a little bit on that palette knife. In fact, you can see I still have, so every time I'm scraping it, I'm moving it and I'm filling in more holes. Now see, I still have some on the palette knife, and I would just continue doing that as I finished the whole piece. Now, and this isn't going to dry on you, so you know there's just no problem with taking your time and letting this fill in the holes. And you see, just like that, you can hear it. Okay, well, that's enough of a demonstration. I think you've got it. Now in this case, it's just one color, and that's going to work nicely. So I'm going to do this. Now you want to lift your stencil as soon as you're done doing this. You don't want it to dry. So take off the tape, low-tack tape, and I'm going to pull this back. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? And so easy. Now, what am I going to do with this? Did I hear you? We're going to put it in the water bath right away, because you don't want it to dry on the stencil, because then it's going to be a problem. So you simply want it to get in there and stay wet. But isn't that beautiful? Absolutely beautiful. That's what Lene did. And you can kind of see, well, go ahead and stay in close. You can see the shine. In fact, go ahead and get in closer if you will. And you can see that the blue is the paper. Can you see how it's raised? I mean, it just looks really nice. Now, obviously, she cut around the edge, so you use those 4.5-inch scissors. And I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to set it aside so we can talk about the rest of the project. And yeah, I'll just leave the craft mat there. Okay, so this is a 6x6 card. And this piece back here is also part of the Songbirds paper. And then she colored the edges with the blender brush or the dauber, and she used the same Prussian blue that was used in the last card, and then glued it to the front of her card. So this is the solid Songbirds, and this is the pattern Songbirds, and this is the pattern Songbirds. How pretty is that? Well, the lady just wasn't done. Do you see that bright gold color that's flashing at you? Well, that is from the Mystic Garden Foiled Fancies. Now these are embossed, they're die cut, and they're paper. So you just snip them away from each other, and you can see that she used a large bird cage, as well as a fern, some butterflies, this one back here. Now she gave me a one that I wanted to show you what she did. Do you see that that has some white on it? Yes, you see how that's different than this one? And this is different? Okay, well here we go. Here's one piece. And she took our super sanding brush. Now if you haven't seen this, these are really neato. And simply went over the top of it. Now what that's going to do is that's going to remove some of the gold. And you see how easily that's happening? It's just magic. Yes, I'm telling you, there are a lot of things we can do with stencils and things to decorate them. And that's going to give us a distress. Easy peasy. So that just takes off some of the gold and exposes the white. Now you also can remove that and make it all silver. So that will happen. Now the blue areas, she did that with the True Blue tri-blend marker. So you know this has 3 shades. So she simply just colored on those. Now to go with her blue color, she also used the inside-outside primary dazzles. So this collection is in primary colors, and you can see the Thinking of You is right there. How pretty is that? This was foam taped, and the other pieces were glued. And of course, this piece was glued. So that took care of that. A lot of things going on. One thing Lene wanted me to show you is this is the same champagne stardust butter, only on white. And again, if we can get in close, we can just see the difference. You see how that's raised? And you can see the shine that that gives. So you can do it on colors, you can do it on white, and you've got lots of options for that doily stencil. Okay, I'll be right back and we will get into the gears. Okay, now with our gear stencil, this is going to give us some other possibilities. You can see that this is not within a frame. It's not got a solid base to it. It's all kind of geary all over. Well, that's what it should be. What Lene has done is she has put it on a center step card. Isn't that interesting? So she is using this space, and she's also using two different stencil butters. Let me show you. She has used denim and chocolate. So that's how she's gotten that look. Now, obviously, there's some dazzles there. And she's also used some pattern paper. This is wood and woodland, and I'll show you that in a minute. But let's get to the stenciling part, because that's what we're all about. So the card, it comes in the center step die cut cards. There's 5 cards with 5 envelopes. You can see it right there. It's all die cut. All you do is fold it. And then you want to take some Post-it notes, which is what I've done. And you want to kind of separate the center step from everything else. So I have put some of the Post-its on the back of the center area and then along the front, so that the only thing that is exposed is this center area that I want to stencil. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. Now, same idea, we want to have this down on our table. So I'm going to just tape it in the back. So I'll just tape the bottom, the back part of the card, but I want it to be where you can see it. So I'll move it up there. So that side, and again, I'm doing just the inside of the card, okay? Then I'm going to position the stencil. Now, I want to do what Lene did. So she has this more solid one right here. Now notice it can go off of it, and that's perfectly fine. And I'm going to bring this down. In fact, yeah, just like that. That's going to let that big space be. So it's really just going to cover just that small area. And I'm going to, same idea, I'm going to hold it down with the low tack tape. You could use washi tape, whatever you have. Now, what she did is to take our trusty palette knife, and she used denim and then chocolate, and simply just spread it. So just, there's no right way or wrong way to do this. So there we go. Isn't that pretty? Again, this goes amazingly a long way, which is really nice. So you see how buttery that is? It is an acrylic base, so you just clean it up with water. And we're going to do the same thing as we did before, except we're just going to spread it. So like this, like that. And some areas will get more, and some will get less because of the stencil. And this is why you want a craft mat, because it's going to go off. And can you hear the scraping? That scraping is the same thing that we did before, and that's exactly what you want to have. So, and you do want to see, you know, when you're scraping, you want to see your stencil. So I'm going to leave that there. Then I'm going to go into my paper towel and wipe that off. Now I want to go into the chocolate. And I'm going to put the chocolate kind of in the middle. Isn't that luscious? And chocolate is a perfect name for it. So here I go. And I'm going to just put that and just spread it. Some of it's going to go on top of the blue. That's perfectly fine. I don't really want a line on my finished piece. So I'm going to have this chocolate in the center. Okay. I'm kind of doing this a little blind at this point because of, you know, I've got the Post-it notes. And then hear the scraping again. And this is just brown. As I said that I saw a little blue. I'm going to wipe that off. I don't want to get it mixed into my chocolate. Then I'm going to come back and you know what? Yeah, that's fine. I will just wipe that off. There's just a smidge. I'm not going to worry about it. And then I want to go back to the blue for the bottom part. Just for right there. Oh, this is neat. This is so neat. Okay. So here I go. Now, I'm going to put the blue back, and then I'm just going to go over the whole thing. And it will just go where it's going to go. Now, I am going to have some white areas because of the stencil. So I will show you what we'll do with that, but we're going to do something else with this butter. In fact, okay, so stop playing, Paulette. I'm going to put this into my bath, my water bath. I'm going to put the lid on this, the lid on both of them. And then I'm going to lift this off and move my tape. Would have been good to take my tape off first, Paulette. Okay, here we go. Now, this is going into the bath right away. I do not want it to get dry. And, okay, now you can see that there are white areas. I'm not going to worry about that, but there is something else you can do with the butters, and this is a heat gun. While it's still wet, you can hold this, 4 or 5 inches away, and you're going to see it start to bubble. And you do want to do it when it's wet, because that will, you know, you don't want to wait for it to dry. Okay, can you see that that's happening? Can you get in closer? There you go. I'll come right here. Now, because I have to hold my heat gun right on top of it, but you can see that it's bubbling. You see right there? How neat is that? Yeah, you can really see it popping there. You may want to go all over it. You don't have to, but it just is a neat process. And it's just going to give you one more thing that you can do. So you are learning a lot, and that's really what we want to do with this series, is to give you new stencils and show you new ways to use them and to play with them. Okay, now this dries very quickly, and that's the reason why we want to get that stencil into a water bath. Okay, so you can do it all over, you can just do it in spots. I kind of like the spots because then it is unique. Turn this off. Now there's something else we're going to do. So those white areas are looking pretty starkly white, aren't they? And what we're going to do is to dilute some of the denim. So here we go. And I'm going to use the water brush again. Let's see, let me get my palette knife. Just want to take a little bit out. So this is kind of what we did with the ink pad when we brushed onto the actual doily. In fact, that's maybe a little too much. I'm going to squirt some water in, and I'm going to dilute it. Okay, and we're just going to go over this. Nothing, no, you know, kind of no rhyme or reason, but we're just going to spread over the white area. And you see, we want it to be lighter color than the stencil butter that we use, so that's why we're diluting it. And you can just go like this. And then we have something else that we're going to do. Okay. I'm just doing, I did one of the biggest ones. Okay, so we're just going to call that good. And yes, I did put too much blue, but you know what? I can save it. So I'm going to go back and pick it up with my trusty palette knife and just do this. So you probably want to start with just a little bit. And this is why it's kind of nice with the water brush, because the water is right there. And so I'm going to clean that off. And this is going to dry really fast. So what you can do then is lift off your Post-its. Well, you'd want to complete it first. Okay, so before you do the Post-its, you want to complete it. Then let me show you what Lene has done. So I'm going to scoot this aside. In fact, I'm going to scoot the whole thing aside and show you. And here is her card. So you see that diluted area, but then we have something else new from Australia. This is a package of gears, real gears, and you can glue them wherever you want. Lene glued several of them. And then she also wanted to, of course, cover the sides and the bottom. And for this, she used the wood and woodland. Now you can see that blue, that's what she used. So simply let the grain of the wood go horizontally and then on the sides. And an easy way to do that is to lay this flat onto the paper and just trace it, cut to those sides, glue them down, and don't the colors work really nicely together? Now, speaking of colors, she also has done two other things with Dazzle. So you see that great truck, that comes from the pickup truck Dazzles. And what she did is she took it, placed it on hammered silver. Isn't that gorgeous? There's also a hammered gold that you'll see in a minute. On the hammered silver, and then just cut around the edge. You'll use those 4.5-inch professional scissors. They're perfect for that. And then she foam taped it into the center of her card. Now, there's also these Dazzles that are in the package. And this package, by the way, it shows you black, but there's a brown one in there too. And obviously it's the brown one that she used. And then can you see that it says brother right there? Well, that came from the Friends and Family Dazzles. So you're going to get everybody, grandmother, grandfather, mom, dad, son, niece, everybody. And she's got brother right there. So that took care of that card. Very fun. And I like the fact that the gears are in the stencil, they're in the metal pieces, they're even in the Dazzle. So everything is reinforced. And you can see how that swatch of brown in the middle, and she has some over there. The blue is on the opposite sides, just like what I did. And it is important to have that watered down blue to go over the white areas, so that worked nicely. Okay, so that's one idea for the gear stencil, but you know what? Lene has another idea, and here it is. Yes, that's the one I showed you in the beginning. Now for this, we're going to use some other products because we just really wanted to give you a glimpse into some different things that you can do with stencils that I think you're going to love seeing. Now, this is using a Tent Slimline card. At the moment, we are out of them. They are due within the next probably 3-4 weeks. So I thought I would show you how to make your own. So let me just give this to you. So you're going to cut one piece of white cardstock, 3 7/8 by 8 1/4. You're going to cut another one that's 3 7/8 by 7 1/2, and then put a score line at the 1/2 inch mark, okay? And then put the extra sticky tape. This is the 1/4 inch. You can use the 1/2 inch also. When you remove the tape, you will simply attach this at the top, back of your card, and you will have a card that will be exactly like what Lene has, okay? So I just didn't want you, you know, well, I didn't want you whining is really what it is, and I want you to have a way to do this because she's done this wonderful long piece, so you really need a long stretch. I guess you could use a slimline card, but this is kind of nice because it's wider. So there you go. You've got all of that. Now, she has covered the front of that with, yes, gold hammered embossed paper. There you go. So that worked. You saw the silver, now you've seen the gold. That's all we have, just the two. Now this is going to use another product, actually two new products. And I was so excited at the trade show when I found them because it enables us to use foils without having to buy a machine and the cost and the just one more thing to have to deal with. This is just so much easier. And it is because of a product also by the Craft Warehouse called Tacky When Dry Gel Medium. You know, the title kind of says it all. It remains tacky when it's dry. Why is that good? Well, because then you can add foils to it. And we are using these foils from Penny Black. And I chose these because you get 4 colors and you get 2 sheets of each in this particular one, which is called Metallic Multi-Pack. And we're going to use the copper and the gold, 2 very nice colors. And so the deal is, in fact, I need my craft mat and I should have cleaned it off. So let me clean it off and I'll be right back. Okay, I have my stencil out. I did take a little bit of dishwashing soap and a scrub brush and just did a little bit just to get that all nice and clean so it would look brand new to you. So that's what we've got. So you can see it does look brand new, and that's what you want to do. Just be sure to get it in water right away. Now, we're going to use this onto a piece of black cardstock. So I have a piece here, and you can kind of tell that she has cut out around it. So we're going to first do the stencil. Now, how to get that shiny foil onto this is, of course, as you know, with the Tacky When Dry medium. Now, a little bit about this. You do want to have it dry. Well, it's tacky when dry, so not when it's wet. But there are a couple things about that. So let me first get these taped down with my low-tack tape. So I'm going to do this. You can see how helpful it is to have a larger piece of paper than what you're going to need. Now I'm kind of arranging this the way I think Lene had it, and that's fine. Again, I'm only going to do part of it. I'm not going to do all of it. And the Tacky When Dry has a couple of provisions with it. When it is dry, it is clear. I said tacky when dry. It's tacky when, it's tacky when dry. When it is wet, it's going to be white. When it is dry, it's going to be clear. Okay. Now, you can put a very thin layer or you can put a thicker layer. The difference will determine what your final look will be. So let me just put a little bit on here. And again, we're using the palette knife, so you will need a palette knife to do stencils. I know I'm throwing a lot of new product at you, but that's kind of what the whole idea of this subscription is that there are a lot of things you can do with stencils in addition to inking them with ink pads. And so again, this is it's really almost lighter than the stencil butters, but all comes from Craft Warehouse. So I'm going to just scoop some, and I'm going to just bring it in here just so that you can see that it is white. There you go. And so you could paint it on, but there is a drawback to that, and I will show you an example. So you can see that this is going on. Now, one thing, especially with a stencil like this, is that when you are scraping, you want to make sure that you've got your palette knife on two edges of the stencil so that you're not gouging into the design. Does that make sense? I hope it does. And I'm just going to get a little dollop right there. Now, when you have a very thin coat, it will take, probably 20-30 minutes to dry. When you have a thicker coat, you might want to let it dry overnight. Okay, so there I go. Now again, it is white. When it dries, it will be clear, and we're not going to be letting it dry as I'm sitting here with you. And okay, so I can lift this up and just show you. As being a stencil, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get your stenciled image. Very, very neat. What am I going to do with this right away? Tell me. I'm going to put it in the water bath right away. Thank you, Jeanette. Okay. Now, as I said, this will be clear when it dries. If you put it on very thinly, you will get a look like this when you put the foils on it. This was just brushed on, the Tacky When Dry was just brushed on through the stencil, and then when the foils were put on it, it got kind of a sketchy look, which is pretty, but that's not what we're going for here, is it? So I have one that dried overnight. You can see it's clear, but it is tacky. So what we're going to do is we're going to take, well, let's start with the gold, and we're going to press it down. And what's going to happen is that where we press and kind of burnish with our fingers, it is going to attach to the foil. And then when I pull it up, the foil will be attached only to the Tacky When Dry gel. Okay, and what's going to happen is it's going to pull off this backing sheet. So, and you do kind of want to burnish it. You might want to check an area. In fact, let me do that. Let me check right here. Easier said than done. Yeah, there we go. See what's happening? In fact, let me show it to you. Yes, look at that. So you just want to be sure that it is attaching. How pretty is that? And shiny is that? Now remember, it was clear. And see, it has lifted off of the foil. Now I'm going to take a copper sheet. Now these are super, super thin, which is exactly what you want. So I'll do one here with the copper. Now, as you use them, you might think that, oh, gee, I can't use that anymore because look, it's been partly used. Save these, save them. You can use them, and I'll show you how and why. Okay, so I'm just burnishing this again, just pushing with my finger. And I do want to take a peek and make sure that it's truly adhering, and boy, it is. Okay, let me show it to you with the light shining. There you go. Now, what you can do is that sometimes there will be some areas that won't get as foiled. So what you do then is you go back and you use these areas that didn't, that you've got left. And then you can mix your mediums. You can mix your metals. I like mixing metals. Some people get freaked out, but I know that's not you. Okay, so I'm putting my gold into my copper, and I put my copper into my gold. Now this piece that was clear is about 2 weeks old. So it's perfectly fine. You can do that. So, you know, you can do it ahead. And even if you're not doing a webisode and having a camera, that's just fine. But this is really neato. Okay, so there's a difference just in how the tacky when dry can work based on how thick you put it on. Now, this was thicker than this. This was just painted on with a paintbrush and let dry, which took about 20 minutes, and then the foil on top of it. This was applied the way I did it, that I just demonstrated to you. And, okay. So you can use every part of these sheets. So even when it looks like this, there's still foil there and you can use it. So save them. I know you love to save things. Okay, so it looks like that. How gorgeous is that? Just really, really neat. So that then was cut out and glued on top of her card. Now, instead of the gears, she used something else, which is the steampunk paper towel, the foil paper towel. And she used this piece, and you see the yellow numbers? So number 1 goes down flat, number 2 gets foam taped on top, number 3 gets foam taped on there, and then there are extra pieces. So you can end up doing a hot air balloon, you can do a flying time, or you can do the heart-shaped gears. She has chosen the gears, and they're just right there. She has taken some of the extra art, because in the paper towel there's always extra art. It says extra art. And she's just foam taped those in place. Now, on the inside of her card, she did a little piece of the gears. You can see. Oh, it goes up about, I'd say 2 inches just to be safe. More of the foiling, more of the tacky when dry. And then the happy anniversary, amazingly, comes from the Happy Anniversary Dazzles, which comes in several colors, but you can see the gold right there. And there are the thin line border dazzles right there. And there you go. How neat is that? Very neat. You're going to love it. You're just going to love this. There's just so much you can do. Now let me show you that piece that I did. See, it's starting to get clear. Milky is not clear. Clear is only clear, like I showed you when I started with this one, where you can't see it at all. It's just shiny. So it is going to take, you know, a little bit of time to dry. It's well worth it. Okay, so what do you think? Are you as hooked on the potential of stencils as we are? I hope you are, because once a month we're going to do a webisode. Once a month we're going to send you, if you subscribe, a subscription, and we're going to send you a free thing. Now this time it's going to be a sheet of that white glitter cardstock, so that way you can, you know, play with that, what we did with the very first. But every month you will get 2 stencils. They will be different, just like, oh, I've got this in the water. Let's see. Okay, I can show it to you here. I really want you to see that there are 2. Okay. And every month you will get 2 very different stencils, because that's what we want for you. And as I said, upon occasion there will be more than 2, but the price will always remain the same at $15. And you will get them before the webisode, so you have them in your hands and you can start playing with them and see what you come up with, and then check us out when we do the webisode a little bit later. And so we hope that you like this. All of the supplies are listed below for each of the cards, and there's Lene has given a little kind of tips with them, so that's true. We will be getting in those tent cards, but until then the measurements are on the little listing that's down below. Okay, so we do have a money saver. It's on the right side of your screen. Did I mention that we have a subscription? It's on the right side of your screen too. I want to thank Lene for doing a fabulous, fabulous job. And Debbie is going to join her for the next month's one. They're working on those now. If you're watching us on YouTube, I hope you'll head on over to paperwishes.com. Take advantage of the money saver. If you want to join the subscription, we hope you will. Just sign up right there. And I want to thank Lene, and I want to thank you for being the very best part of the Paper Wishes family. We'll see you again.